This is Tony Martignetti, nonprofit radio coverage of the National Conference on Philanthropic Planning. We are in the heart of San Antonio, Texas, on the Riverwalk. My guests now are Margaret Holman and Charlie Gordy. Margaret is principal of Holman Consulting in New York City, and Charlie Gordy is director of planned giving at Harvard Law School. Margaret, Charlie, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Good to be here.
It's a pleasure to have both of you. Your session topic is job fusion or confusion, marrying major and planned gifts. Charlie, let me start with you. What's the possible confusion?
Well, as a lot of organizations respond to what's going on in the economy, the pressure for outright current giving has led to a de-emphasis on planned giving, deferred giving, and individual plan giving officers are having to respond to that, looking at being merged into major gifts roles, and that is causing some confusion for them, I think, personally, and also institutionally in what the best approach is to overall fundraising and to their donors.
Okay, but is it not a good idea to be breaking down silos between major giving and planned giving?
I think breaking down the silos is absolutely critical, and the structure internally should be very flat. Margaret pointed out in our first session that what she sees, and I'll obviously let her speak for herself,
Sure.
but what she sees in the future is a very flat structure. The silos should be broken down, and major gift and planned giving officers should work very, very closely together with donors, but they are different techniques of fundraising. They're different processes. You think differently when you're focusing on planned giving versus major giving, and all planned gifts are major gifts, essentially. Okay. It just depends on how you get there.
Okay, we're going to talk a little about what the different thoughts might be, and Margaret, we will get to what the future looks like, but before we get there, just sort of leading into the topic too, your session description suggests that changes in the economy, changes in the tax law are impacting this issue.
Indeed. The more complex, constant, and confusing changes that there are with tax laws right now, from the charitable deduction, the proposed change in the estate law, estate tax law, it coming, it going. How do I plan for a bequest? Should I die this year? Should I die next year? Those are all things that are confusing not only to gift officers, but also to donors. And that is really driving a lot of the expertise surrounding both major gift work and planned gift work. The economy obviously has an effect too. When the economy stumbles, major gifts go down. Planned gifts are not as affected by the economy because they are future gifts. They're more long-term. And many organizations, if they have a planned gift program that has been working, that will be the bridge between the bad economy and staying alive, is because I'm getting bequests and I might not be getting major gifts.
Now, are you seeing in your consulting practice some regret among charities that don't have a planned giving program?
Yes.
That they had wishing they had started 10, even 5 years ago, maybe?
Yes, and many organizations who said, hey, listen, our planned gift program is just going a million miles an hour and we're getting millions of dollars, so we don't have to do anything now. And then it starts this gradual decline for about 5 years, and somebody in the finance office says, oh my gosh, well, how come our bequest income is going down? And it's because we haven't been doing anything. Well, let's put some money into doing anything. Now they've got another 5-year wait. So you got a 10-year trough. So the name of the game is consistent.
There needs to be this consistent effort
Indeed.
To promote planned gifts. And go ahead, Charlie.
Yeah. To follow up on what Margaret said, I worked with an organization a few years ago on a consulting basis, and the CFO there said, look, I could shut the planned giving program down tomorrow, and I wouldn't see any impact for 5 years. And I've got a budget problem right now that I've got to solve. So isn't that a good solution? And I had to tell him that no, in fact, it's absolutely the wrong thing to do, because you are going to hurt the long-term financial health of your organization for a short-term gain.
And our listeners, I want to point out Charlie has a terrific bow tie on, but for those who are on the video, because we're doing videos, it is not a clip-on. I want to make it very clear. It's clearly not a clip-on. Much classier guy than those clip-on men. So what are some practical solutions, Margaret, for breaking down the silos and bringing the two together?
Well, one of the practical solutions is to cross-train planned gift officers and major gift officers in each other's areas of expertise, so that in essence you become a generalist. And I find now that my clients, when they do have an opening for a major gift officer, are looking for somebody who can talk planned gifts. Mm-hmm. We want two for the price of one. When I started in the fundraising world in 1976, there weren't planned gift officers, there weren't specialties. Because of the way the economy went and the demographics of donors, it caused institutions to create silos to answer that need. The demographics are changing. That big group of older folks who are prime planned gift prospects are dying off now. There aren't very many of them left. And we're entering this age of the boomers and the silents who can both make a major gift and a planned gift. And now we need to have people who can talk both things. But we also have to educate our boards, but more often than not, we really have to address the problem that Charlie ran into and talk to our finance people and explain how this really works.
Let's start with the first of the things that you mentioned, the cross-training. How deep should the major gift officers training be in planned giving? Are we talking about just the ability to open a discussion, or that they can go further, maybe even they can meet with donors' advisors? I mean, how deep should that training be of the former planned gift officer, now cross-training?
Well, it depends. It really is going to depend
of the former major gift officer, now cross-training.
Right. It's going to really depend on the individual and the institution. I like to make my major gift officers what I call dangerous. Okay. I like for them to know when they've gotten to the point where they don't have the answer, and can say confidently, I don't have the answer to that, let me get back to you. And that way you accomplish two things. One, the donor gets the right information, but you have another contact with the donor, thus getting the relationship, continuing the relationship on. So I like to get them as dangerous as possible. They need to understand the basic concepts and know when to say, I need to call Charlie.
Okay, so now Charlie,
Yeah, if to follow up on that, I work with major gift officers at the law school that are really exceptional, as you'd expect, and they still aren't very comfortable talking about planned giving on a regular basis. I have one that asks me a couple of times a year, again, to explain the difference between a gift annuity and a trust. And that's fine, and I'm happy to do that, and that's a great role for me. What I like to do is educate them to know what to listen for. You know, I have a house that I'm no longer using very much. I'd love to give, but, and then to follow on what Margaret said, when the donor says that, but, I like them to say, be comfortable saying, well, what if we were able to show you a way that you could still make your gift and take care of those other financial concerns that you have. They don't need to know how the gift annuity payments are taxed or how the charitable deduction is calculated, but that they're methods that the organization can present that will allow the donor to still make their gift and take care of those other financial concerns that they have.
So that suggests that there does still need to be an expert in planned giving at the organization. We can't all just be flat and cross-trained.
Absolutely.
Is that right?
I believe that 100%.
Yeah, Margaret.
Well, the other thing, too, is while I also believe that there should be a planned gift expert on everybody's staff, not every organization can afford to do that.
I was going to get there, yes.
So using expertise, either if you've got somebody on the board who's a tax planning attorney or a trust and estates attorney, and you can use that and get some advice, or there are a lot of consultants out there who would be more than happy to work with an organization on an hourly basis or whatever other way. You can buy the expertise you need. What you can't buy is the donor relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you have the luxury of the budget to have somebody on staff, that's great. But as Margaret points out, and as you point out, Tony, if you don't have that, it's available and you can find it. And it's almost like the same link between the major gift officer and the in-house plan giving person with more expertise, and then the in-house plan giving person and the outside consultant. Everybody knows how far they can take it and when to bring in somebody else to actually make the gift happen.
Let's go into some of the a little detail, Charlie, about what you suggested earlier. What to listen for. Let's so that listeners can actually get some of the benefit of the training. What are some things that gift officers should be listening for that would suggest a good planned gift prospect?
First in doing the planning, to visit someone, looking at their history, their donation history, consistent gifts over a long period of time. Maybe it's $100, maybe it's $50 over 5-10 years, maybe it's $1,000. So they have that philanthropic connection with the institution. When you're meeting with them, and your goal perhaps is an outright major gift, and they say, well, I'm not very liquid right now. Mm-hmm. So they have assets, but they're tied up maybe in stocks or in real estate. And if they're in stocks and real estate, those are the assets they have. It's a perfect candidate for a planned gift.
Okay. Margaret, any further advice on what to listen for?
Oftentimes I hear people say, I don't think I can afford this right now, and I want to take care of my family. So that again gives us that opportunity to talk about some more unconventional ways, shall we say, to make those kinds of gifts. When I work with organizations to go out and talk to donors, I tell them often to tell the donor to take care of themselves first, their family second, and us third. And there are ways that we can help you take care of yourself, your family, and then us. That don't involve writing a check.
Yeah, okay. What's one of those ways? Let's go into a little detail.
Well, obviously, they're life income gifts that can provide for your wife, your spouse, your elderly sister, whatever. You can still make a gift. That person is getting income, gets it out of your estate plan. There are a myriad of different ways that you can do this. I think baby boomers are going to be looking at life income gifts as good alternatives for retirement planning, and that's going to be the new frontier for major and planned gift officers.
Okay. And Charlie, the most common life income gifts that we see, I guess, would be the charitable gift annuity and charitable remainder trust?
That's right. Gift annuity is much more common, usually for a smaller dollar amount, less flexible in the planning process than a charitable remainder trust, which can usually take care of a need to have a growing income stream versus a fixed one. And the terms of the trust document can generally be varied more than a gift annuity, which is just a simple contract.
Okay, and you also have a lot of state regulation around charitable gift annuities. We want listeners to know that it's not in a lot of states, most states, it's not something you can just start issuing tomorrow.
No, there are a lot of things involved. I also sit on the board of the American Council on Gift Annuities, and there are a lot of things involved when you decide to get into a gift annuity program. State regulations, for sure, need to be complied with, but also the liability, the contractual liability that you're exposing your organization to has to be matched against the benefits of the program. You have to have the ability to assemble a pool of gift annuities, 15, 20, 25 gift annuities, so you're diversifying the risk over the portfolio of annuities. You have to have an investment strategy that's going to be appropriate to deliver that annual income. So it's very simple to set up in terms of the contract and the gift, but much more complicated to maintain and run appropriately.
And since you're on the board of the American Council on Gift Annuities, you want to give a little pitch just to give the web? Do you know the URL for?
Yeah, www.acga-web.org. Great organization, has been around since the 20s, recommending gift annuity rates, not prescribing, but recommending gift annuity rates that are really in the best interests of the donor and the organization over the long term.
Thank you for that. And I want you to know that I did know the URL in case I didn't put you on the spot. No. I was happy to have you say it, but I didn't want you to think, oh, God, what if I don't know it? But you're on the board, so I figured you'd you'd be safe.
I
I
hope
think that was a safe question.
I hope that means I got it right.
Yeah,
So.
you did. It is -web.org. That's right. Let's see, Margaret. We talked a little about the future of this job fusion versus confusion. What were your points in the workshop?
Well, the basic point is that while we continue to be donor-centered in all of our activities, we have to begin to understand that we've made these silos to define for ourselves as fundraising professionals where we are in the hierarchy of our organizations. Donors don't care. They just want to deal with the right person at the organization. And for some donors, learning that I'm going to be talking to the director of major gifts paints a bullseye on my forehead, and that makes me uncomfortable. But if I was talking with Margaret from the development office, who was going to help me make a gift, externally, we have to be flatline. We all have to look like we're equal. We all have to be able to help our donors do what they want to do. So I see the future is that titles will pretty much be the same, go away. Internally, we'll have our beloved organization charts, but to our donors, it will just be a flat line.
Yeah, and that extends beyond major and planned giving, though, too, right?
Yes, it does.
Annual giving, corporate and foundation sponsorship and support work.
I was at an event for a client recently, and everybody proudly was wearing their name tag with their job title on the front. And the director of major gifts was walking down the floor heading to see a specific donor, and she could see the job title, and she turned her back to talk to somebody else. She just, bullseye, I know I'm going to be asked for a big gift. So I think this just continues to be donor-driven, and we have to pay attention. We have to listen to what they're saying.
But we've been saying this for, I don't know, at least a decade.
Yeah.
Now, I've been in planned giving for 14 years, not as long as either of you, and I've been hearing donor-centered, donor-centric, put the donor's needs first. But in terms of job hierarchies and descriptions, it hasn't happened yet.
A lot of that has to do with it coming down from the top, and how executive directors like to organize and how they manage. And it takes a sophisticated executive director to understand how important it is, the public perception of a donor, to working with somebody. They really associate the person, not the title, with the organization.
Sure, yeah. And I remember advice from someone I know you both know, Robert Sharp Sr., who used to preach that his preferred job title for everybody would be assistant to the president.
Yes.
Because what donor, right, Charlie? What donor wouldn't want to talk to the assistant to the president?
Right. No, I think that's right. And the name tags that I like the most, for me personally, just say Alumni Affairs and Development. They don't say Director of Planned Giving, because I think Margaret's right. You get a very different reaction. Or when I send emails, and I'm thinking about this as I'm saying it, I may change my email tag, take out the Director of Planned Giving, and just put in Alumni Affairs and Development, because people see that. And the point about it being flat internally and donor-centered. We've been hearing the donor-centered, as you said, for about a decade. The flat internally, I think, has been less quick to come, because organizations haven't had to respond internally. Now we've had the two budget crises over the last decade, 2002, 2008. Organizations saying, hey, what are we doing in terms of how we're structured? And the danger is that planned giving gets lost in that shuffle, in the flattening, and it all becomes major gift focus with a loss on the planned giving focus. I think if it's done right, you can do it both very successfully. Have a flat organization, somebody internally that has the planned giving expertise, can work successfully without being siloed to enhance major gift officers' success and still preserve the planned giving expertise and function. And
that's the fusion in your workshop title, the job fusion. Right?
I think that's right.
You want to bring these things together. Any closing thoughts, Margaret?
Well, we just want to say thanks again for having us today, and we hope all of our listeners get one or two good nuggets of ideas.
That's the idea. Margaret Holman is principal of Holman Consulting in New York City. Charlie Gordy is director of planned giving at the Harvard Law School. I want to thank you both for joining us.
Thank you, Tony.
Thanks, Tony.
Pleasure to have you. This is Tony Martignetti, Nonprofit Radio coverage of the National Conference on Philanthropic Planning 2011.